Do 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 do. Okay, I think I found something.
Okay, what do we got?
Well, let's see here. We got 2 questions for our first episode. Well, our first official episode. Anyways, we got the first one from Tara Blackmore. She has a question for both of us.
Alright, what's it say?
Okay. How can someone be sure that there was a creator without first wondering who created them? How can one create without being created? Well, this one's a simple one to answer. If God can create something, and that's the rule, that if something begins to exist and it has a cause, then surely God itself would need a creator. So therefore, God has a God, and then that God has a God, and then boom! Your Christianity has just been disproven. Am I onto something here, Angelicat?
Nope, this is actually a quite common argument that's been used for a long time. It's a very good misconception of the cosmological argument.
The Cosmo what?
The cosmological argument. Are you seriously? You're an atheist, Cat, and you haven't heard of this one?
Well, let's just say I keep doing what I do, alright? I don't have time to look into the rational answers. I'm not saying atheists are irrational. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea.
Well, allow me to explain. You see, the cosmological argument goes something like this. Something that begins to exist has a cause. So therefore, the universe began to exist, as we know from Big Bang, or at the beginning, and then it came to existence. And then the final premise is that, therefore, the universe, since it began to exist, has a cause. And that cause, being a God or creator, is usually what the Christians hold to. And there's probably different positions, but that's just my personal one. Now, then, of course, the question is asked, who created God? Doesn't he have a beginning? Well, the problem is, what do we mean by beginning? Because, according to Big Bang, the Big Bang was, before that, no time, no space. So therefore, there is no time or beginning for that. And if God happens to be realming in this no time, he's not bound to a before. So therefore, God could be just there. He's always there.
Wait, well, hold up a second. Now you're just reaching the realm of science fiction here. So you're telling me that God is not bound by this Komokaba effect that she was rambling on about?
Yes, I'm pretty much saying just the exact what you just said, except it's cosmological, but other than that, you're on the right path.
Well, okay. Answer me this. Riddle me this one, Angela. How come that is possible?
Okay. Well, the reason why that's possible is because there is no time, and because God is all there, that means he's never had a beginning, and he's just always been there. So he had no beginning, and didn't just automatically come into existence like we would from our parents' womb, or from, cells or bacteria that have come about by abiogenesis. This is the chance of him being just there the entire time.
Okay, well, I don't necessarily agree, but we got another question, so we're just gonna move on, alright?
Alright, thank you for the question, Tara.
The next question comes from Absolute Atheism. Oh my goodness. I have a feeling I'm going to like this guy.
Alright, what's he got?
Here's a question. Why is the story of Moses in the basket almost identical to Sargon of Akkad's basket story? That's a good question. Why is it so identical? Is it because you ripped him off?
No. Allow me to explain. If you want further details on this, I'd suggest looking into a guy by the name of Tecton TV. Yes, I'm talking about that one. The one that looks like he's the mascot for a furry convention. But his real name, being J.P. Holding, at least that's how I think I got the name. J.P. Holding has written an article about this. And in it, he talks about the well, you could get the legend from Brian Lewis's The Sargon Legend. And then you can compare that with the basket incident with Moses being in the basket. So the 4 factors that are to be studied in this: the secrecy factors surrounding the birth, the placing in a reed basket covered with bitumen, the setting in a river, and the recovery and adoption of the... So, we investigate by investigating the first one, the secrecy factor surrounding the birth. Now, we understand why there would needed to be a secret for them. For example, Moses was in serious danger of being killed, so therefore he had to be sent away and was floating on a river in a basket. Forget who exactly, I think it was his mom that put him out into the river. But Sargon's story gives no real reason for the secrecy. The only thing that we know, really, is that as a high priestess, Sargon's mother had to avoid the pregnancy to keep her position in office. Such high priestesses were normally members of the royal house, and hence Sargon at least had some claim to royalty later on. But, as I'm going to explain right now...
Are you taking a second?
Give me a second, alright? I'm trying to think here. Alright? Alright, so, we also know that Sargon had no known father. His father was unknown as far as his identity, and it indicated an illegitimate birth. So this could also explain why Sargon had to be kept in secrecy. But, just from these instances, it's only a coincidence to the fact that they're secret, but surely you would have expected some form of drama to happen at some point, especially in times like these where people were very superstitious about a whole bunch of other things. Second, the placing in a reed basket covered with bitumen. Now, whenever they mention these materials being used for the basket, I highly think that that's a very good argument to make that these two are ripping each other off. Because bitumen or pitch would of course be needed to seal any kind of basket set afloat on a river. It was basically good material. It's like saying all of a sudden somebody ripped off someone's boat because they actually used wood, and the other ones was made out of wood as well. So it's very unlikely that this can be used as a good argument. So I will just leave it at that. The setting in a river. Note well that Sargon is abandoned to the current, where Moses is set among the reeds. And this was something that commonly happened, that the children were left in the reeds. Or, not the reeds. They were left in the river. Now...
Oh, did you mess up?
Yes, I did. Now, shut up! Okay. Now, let me just start over. So, Moses, he was actually gentle when he was among the reeds in the river. Now, Sargon was abandoned to the current. Fondlings were typically left in places of danger. But for some reason, Moses's was the exact opposite. And so the gambit was designed to keep him out of danger. And it's also noted, we should note this, Sargon's mother clearly did intend for him to live a while, for otherwise she would not have placed him in a cult basket. So at least the mom wanted Sargon to live with some protection, even though the place was very dangerous and risky for Sargon to be. Now the final point, and hopefully I don't mess this one up, the recovery and adoption. The adoption of Sargon itself is not unusual. Okay, so pretty much finding and adopting fondlings or little children was not a very uncommon practice. In fact, the Mesopotamians practiced this one a lot. Now, there's some commentators that suggest the Pharaoh's daughter easily took Moses in because her dipping into the river signified a fertility rite, and easily could be said, hey, Moses was some answer to my prayers. But adoption as a whole, now you can't really go around. It's pretty much like I said with the wood argument. It's not uncommon. People did this all the time back then, adopting, especially in cases like this. Heck, we might as well say the other things, like, what was it? I forget what the name of the story was. It had something to do with a family of incest, but there was a story involving that being adopting. But anyways, those are the main things we have to consider. Is those 4 points, and I express those as much as I can.
Well, it still has not convinced me.
Well, that I know. So, until next time, we'll hope to see more questions from y'all. Hopefully rather it be silly or rather it be apologetic. But until then, we'll see you around.
And also, make sure to bring me some chocolate.
No, we are not going to get you any more chocolate. You've had way too much. And last time you had chocolate, I don't think those were chocolate stains that were all over the carpet floor.
I can do whatever I want. The house is my kingdom.
It won't be whenever you're beaten up right now.
Oh, what you gonna do, scratch me?
Oh yeah? We can go right now!